In the Arab regions, which are the Middle East and North Africa, Christianity reached immediately after Jesus Christ's crucifixion in 1 AD. Therefore, the nomadic tribes living in deserts and rough terrains began to adopt Christianity up until the arrival of Islam in the 600s. By that time, there was a significant Arab Christian population in the regions that are today Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Jordan, and Turkey. However, after Islam began to spread, it influenced Arab Christians, giving new beliefs and influencing the already present. The Middle East became a region dominated by Muslims, where the Arab Christians were present, even though they had been living there since 1 AD. But where are the Arab Christians today and what happened to them? Welcome to a new episode of Uncovering Untold Stories, a channel where we talk about the secret and hidden historical stories, events, and incidents of the past that find their roots in either religious or history books. It's a place where you will hear the most unorthodox and hard-to-believe stories that have been forgotten but are part of history, shaping our lives to this day. In this episode, we will tell you about the story of Arab Christians, what happened to them, and where they are today. Let's get started. The history of Arab Christians is closely related to Christianity and the Arabic language. Arab Christian communities emerged either through the adoption of Arabic by existing Christian groups or through the conversion of Arabic-speaking populations to Christianity. This cultural shift gained prominence following the Muslim conquests of the 7th century, which prompted many indigenous Christian communities in Western Asia, particularly in the Fertile Crescent, to transition to Arabic as their primary language. Before the 9th century AD, Arab cultural endeavors were primarily focused on preserving and translating pre-Islamic poetry. In contrast, early Arab Christians made significant contributions to literature, documenting Syriac hymns, Arabic poetry, ecclesiastical melodies, proverbs, and principles of governance. However, their records of religious practices were somewhat sparse, resulting in fragmented historical accounts and limited evidence regarding specific rituals over centuries. During the pre-Islamic period, Arab Christians were already established, with historical records indicating conversions among Arab tribes dating back to the 1st century AD. The New Testament references Arabs hearing the message of Christianity in their native tongues, suggesting an early assimilation of the faith into Arab societies. Additionally, historical texts attest to the presence of bishops and the establishment of Christian dioceses across Arab regions. For instance, Saint Moses, an Arab bishop in the 4th century, exemplified the spread of Christianity, earning admiration from figures like Mavia, a warrior queen who sought his endorsement in diplomatic dealings with Rome. The Jordan Valley and Balka region were governed by Arab Christians by the 2nd century AD. Around the same time, the Nabateans in southern Levant also embraced Christianity during the late Roman period. This spread is evidenced by Christian monuments, churches, and inscriptions discovered in Palmyra and near Al-Qaryatayn in Syria, showing the religion's growth in the area. Under Roman rule, Jordan was administered by the Qudaa tribe, who had converted to Christianity as noted by Yaqubi. They were succeeded by the Christian Salihids and the Ghassanid kingdom. Poetic verses from pre-Islamic poet al-Nabiga laud the kings of Ghassan, celebrating them on Palm Sunday. Adjacent to Syria, the Sinai Peninsula fell under the jurisdiction of the Egyptian Church based in Alexandria. Documents from the late 3rd century by Dionysius, Pope of Alexandria, mention Arab Christians in Sinai and their persecution under the pagan Roman Emperor Diocletian. In 309 AD, 40 monks were martyred during an attack on Mount Sinai, leading to the fortification of their monasteries, notably St. Catherine's Monastery, commissioned by Emperor Justinian in 565 AD. This monastery later hosted church leaders, Ghassanid and Lakhmid rulers, and pre-Islamic poets. Najran in southern Arabia gained notoriety for the persecution of Christians by Yemen's King Du Nuwas, a fervent convert to Judaism. The leader of Najran's Arab Christians, Al-Harith, was executed during the massacre of Christians in 523 AD. Historical sources recount Najran's predominantly Christian population before Du al-Nawas compelled conversion to Judaism, leading to their massacre, mentioned in the Quran as the people of the ditch. In response, Byzantine Emperor Justin I encouraged Caleb of Aksum to intervene, resulting in Du al-Nawas's overthrow and the appointment of Christian Himyarite Sumyafa Ashwa as viceroy. This marked a period of Abyssinian Christian influence in Yemen until their withdrawal in 575 AD, leaving behind the grand Kaaba of Najran, a monument adorned with jewels and ornate architecture symbolizing martyrdom. Christianity in Yemen thrived early on. In the 2nd century AD, the Greek theologian Pantaenus traveled there as a missionary. Historical accounts attribute missions to Yemen and Abyssinia to Matthew the Apostle. A strong bond developed between Yemen and the Syrian Church, evident in the works of Ephraim the Syrian and settlements where Syriac was spoken. The notable Al-Khalis Church in Sana'a was constructed to serve believers and attract pilgrims en route to Mecca and the Gamdan Palace. Organized under an archbishop titled Catholicos, Yemen's Christian community flourished, extending its influence into Upper Mesopotamia among tribes like Banu Bakr and Banu Mudar, known for their devout Christian practices and respect for Saint Sergius. Ibn Khaldun documented widespread conversions to Christianity among Yemeni Arabs in Iraq and Bahrain by the 4th century. In Medina, a Christian group known as the Marians faced condemnation from the established church, branded as heretical for their worship of the Virgin Mary and offering her reverence. Their existence is documented by historians such as Epiphanius and Ibn Taymiyyah, while scholars like al-Zamakhshari and al-Baydawi mentioned them in their interpretations of the Quran. Another faction, the Davidians, became known for their excessive admiration of King David, often labeled a Judeo-Christian heresy by contemporary scholars. Meanwhile, in Mecca, the Banu Jurhum converted to Christianity under their 6th king, Abd al-Masih ibn Baqiyah, who oversaw the governance of the Haram for a period. The tribes of Banu Azd and Banu Khuza'a also embraced Christianity, as recorded by Abu al-Faraj al-Isfahani. Early Christian presence in Mecca is corroborated by historical records, including the discovery of a Christian cemetery near Medina and conversions among the Quraysh tribe. During the Islamic era, following the conquests by Arab armies, diverse indigenous Christian communities across former Byzantine and Sasanian territories fell under Muslim rule. Previously persecuted minority Christian sects, such as non-Chalcedonians under Byzantine governance, now encountered new challenges. The Islamic conquests initiated processes of Arabization, where these communities gradually adopted Arabic for everyday speech, literature, and religious practices alongside their native languages. At the same time, Islamization proceeded gradually, influencing religious customs and identities. Under Islamic law, Christians, recognized as people of the book, were granted specific rights. They could freely practice their religion, apply Christian laws in legal matters, and were exempt from military service but obligated to pay the jizya tax instead of zakat or alms to Muslims. The jizya tax excluded certain groups like slaves, women, monks, and the impoverished. But something interesting happened. Like Muslims, Arab Christians referred to God as Allah, a practice with roots preceding Islam, distinct from Islamic usage where Allah specifically denotes God's personal name. However, it's rare to see modern-day Christians in Europe or the West calling God Allah. Before we continue further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos about little heard and untold real historical stories. Let's continue now. Arab Christians have historically acted as cultural bridges between the Islamic world and the Christian West, largely due to shared religious ties. Greek Orthodox communities maintain strong connections with Russia and Greece, while Melkite and Maronite Christians have bonds with Italy, the Vatican, and France. Scholars acknowledge that Arab Christians have significantly enriched Arab civilization since the advent of Islam, notably influencing Mashriq culture. Today, many Arab Christians excel in fields such as medicine, entertainment, philosophy, government, and literature. Arabic-speaking scholars authored extensive theological and philosophical works in Arabic, engaging in intellectual debates with their Muslim counterparts and offering systematic defenses of Christianity. Modern Lebanese figures like linguist Anastas al-Karmal, novelist Tawfiq Yusuf Awad, and philologist Ibrahim al-Yazigi have made enduring impacts, with early translations of the Bible into Arabic dialects marking significant milestones. Palestinian physician Tawfiq Kanayan's ethnographic studies are esteemed resources in Palestinian history. Jordanian historian Suleiman Moussa provided a critical Arab perspective on figures like Lawrence of Arabia, contrasting with earlier exaggerated portrayals. Arab Christians have also played important roles in Arab nationalism from its inception. As early as 1877, Maronite leader Yusuf Bey Karam advocated for autonomy of Arabic-speaking regions from the Ottoman Empire, laying foundational nationalist ideas. In other words, the man who first proposed to be separated from the Ottoman Empire was non-Muslim, which ultimately resulted in the establishment of Saudi Arabia, the hub of the Muslim world. Prominent early 20th century Arab nationalists included figures like Konstantin Zurayk and Michel Aflaq, a key advocate of Ba'athism. Palestinian and Lebanese intellectuals like George Antonius and Khalil al-Sakakini furthered nationalist sentiments, advocating for broader Arab unity while preserving local identities. More recently, figures like George Habash and Wadi Haddad of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, along with leaders like Naif Hawatmeh, continued to influence political discourse in the region. It should be acknowledged that Arab Christians have made significant contributions to Arabic language media, founding newspapers, radio stations, and television networks primarily serving Arab Christian audiences across North Africa and the Middle East. Institutions such as Télé Lumière, Agape TV, and SAT7 have provided platforms for Arabic-speaking Christian communities to explore their faith and culture through various media formats. Figures like Salim Takla and Bashara Takla, founders of Al-Ahram and Al-Muqaddam newspapers respectively, played key roles in shaping public discourse in Egypt and beyond. In Palestine, figures like Najib Nassar and the El Issa family contributed significantly through publications critiquing early Zionist movements. Lebanese and Palestinian singers like Fairuz, Majida El-Rumi, and George Wassouf have achieved global acclaim, enriching the region's cultural diversity through music. But things don't stop here. The Nahda, meaning the awakening, or the Renaissance, marked a cultural resurgence starting in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, which was mainly shaped by Arab Christians. It was sparked by Muhammad Ali of Egypt's withdrawal from the Levant in 1840. Beirut, Cairo, Damascus, and Aleppo emerged as hubs of this revival, resulting in the establishment of schools, universities, theaters, and printing presses. This cultural awakening also catalyzed a politically engaged movement known as the Association, advocating for Arab nationalism and reforms within the Ottoman Empire. The era witnessed a push for modern nation-states modeled after Europe. Arabic literature was widely introduced and printed, influencing fields such as music, sculpture, history, humanities, economics, and human rights. This cultural revival under late Ottoman rule represented a significant leap forward for Arabs in the post-industrial revolution era, impacting society holistically rather than just advancing individual cultural aspects. Christian institutions like St. Joseph University, the American University of Beirut, and Al-Hikmah University in Baghdad played crucial roles in shaping Arab culture. Historians underscore the crucial contributions of Arab Christians to this Renaissance and their influence through the diaspora. Recognizing their impact on politics and culture, Ottoman leaders began including them in governmental structures. Economically, families like the Greek Orthodox Sursoks gained prominence. Thus, the Nahda united Muslims and Christians in a cultural renaissance, solidifying Arab Christians as essential pillars of the region rather than peripheral minorities. However, living freely was not always possible for Arab Christians. The massacre of Aleppo in 1850, referred to as the Events, was a tragic riot initiated by Muslim residents of Aleppo against Christians, primarily in the northern suburbs of Judaid and Salibeh. This event marked a significant turning point in Aleppian history, representing the first major clashes between Muslims and Christians in the region. Syriac Catholic Church Patriarch Peter VII Yarwe was fatally wounded during the violence, resulting in the deaths of 20 to 70 people in riots and many more in subsequent bombardments. Another incident was the 1860 civil conflict in Mount Lebanon, and Damascus escalated into a massacre during Ottoman rule, initially sparked by conflicts between Maronites and Druze communities in Mount Lebanon. The violence spread rapidly to Damascus, where over 10,000 Christians of various denominations were massacred by Druze and Muslim militias. With tacit support from Ottoman authorities and Turkish soldiers, the violence culminated in 3 days of pogroms, claiming the lives of around 20,000 Christians and causing widespread destruction of villages and churches. The Christian quarter of Old Damascus was plundered and devastated. Historian Mikhail Mishakas's memoir, detailing the massacre, remains a crucial historical document as one of the few surviving accounts from the mob attacks. Emir Abdelkader al-Jazairi's intervention, ordering protection for Christians in Damascus by his troops, saved thousands from further violence, preserving this ancient community from complete annihilation. Later, during World War I, Melkite Greek Catholic and Maronite Christians suffered neglect from Ottoman authorities and endured naval blockades imposed by France and Britain, resulting in the Great Famine of Mount Lebanon. Occurring alongside the Armenian, Assyrian, and Greek genocides, this famine caused the highest per capita death toll of any population during the war. Around 200,000 people perished out of a population of approximately 400,000 in Mount Lebanon. The Lebanese diaspora in Egypt played a critical role in providing relief and organizing food shipments via the Syrian island town of Arwad. Lebanese-American writer Khalil Gibran highlighted the deliberate nature of the famine in a letter to Mary Haskell, accusing the Turkish government of orchestrating the tragedy. During the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, numerous Palestinian Greek Orthodox and Melkite communities endured forced displacement from their towns, including Al-Bassa, Ramla, Lod, Safed, Kafr Birim, Ikrit, Tarbika, Elabun, and Haifa. Many Christian neighborhoods and towns suffered ethnic cleansing and destruction between 1948 and 1953. Entire Christian populations were expelled from Saft, Beisan, and Tiberias, while significant percentages were displaced from Haifa, Jaffa, Lydda, and Ramleh. Later, the Lebanese Civil War in 1975 split the country into opposing factions. The predominantly Christian rightist Lebanese Front, composed of Maronites and Melkites, and the mostly Muslim and Arab nationalist leftist national movement supported by Druze, Greek Orthodox, and Palestinian groups. The conflict witnessed kidnappings, rapes, and massacres in contested areas, often targeting impoverished Christian and Muslim communities. Maronites and Melkites aligned themselves with France and the Mediterranean, while Muslims and Greek Orthodox looked towards the broader Arab world for political solidarity. During the Arab Spring and subsequent Syrian civil war, Syrian Arab Christians, like other minorities, faced targeted violence from jihadist factions. Many fled, but a significant number remained, supporting the Syrian armed forces and allied groups such as the Eagles of the Whirlwind against insurgents. Initially hesitant to take sides, Arab Christians increasingly backed the Assad regime as violence escalated and ISIL gained ground. Their support stemmed from fears that regime change could bring instability or dominance by Western-backed Islamist factions. Reports from the Carnegie Middle East Center indicate that a majority of Syrian Christians prefer regime stability to avoid chaos or subjugation by Islamist elements. Due to being sidelined and oppressed, millions of Arab Christians immigrated to other countries. Therefore, today, millions of descendants of Arab Christians reside outside the Middle East in the Arab diaspora, primarily in the Americas, with significant communities also in Europe, Africa, and Oceania. Approximately 1 million Palestinian Christians live in the Palestinian diaspora, while an estimated 6 to 7 million Brazilians trace their ancestry to Lebanon. Mass Arab immigration began in the late 19th century as people fled political and economic upheaval following the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. Early immigrants known as Syro-Lebanese, Lebanese, Palestinians, or Turks sought new opportunities in countries like the United States, where Arab Americans, predominantly Christian, now form a substantial segment of the population. Historical events such as the 1860 civil conflict in Mount Lebanon, the 1915-1918 Great Famine of Mount Lebanon, the 1948 Palestinian Exodus, the Lebanese Civil War, and the Iraq War have spurred large-scale emigration among Arab Christians. What do you think? What if Islam did not spread among Arabs? Would the Middle East and North Africa be dominated by Christians today? If you are an Arabic-speaking Christian, what do you think about your identity and whether you consider yourself a Christian or an Arab Christian? In the comment section right below, Share your thoughts on what happens if an Arab Christian migrates to Europe and is still recognized as a Muslim Arab. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We bring videos on stories that might sound controversial, mysterious, and shocking, but are real and have roots in religious and history books. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.